You're watching TAG TV.
Good evening, welcome to South Asia Newsline. I am Uzma Jaffrey. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 28th of December. One terrorist killed in encounter in India's Jammu and Kashmir. India extends $643 million assistance to Bhutan. Pakistan Army Chief, US Commander discuss Afghan peace process. And now for all the details. Security forces gunned down one terrorist in an encounter in Pulwama district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Friday. This came nearly a week after 6 terrorists were neutralized in a similar encounter in the area.
One terrorist was killed in an encounter with security forces in Pulwama district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Friday. The security forces had launched a cordon and search operation in the Awantipora area of Pulwama on Friday morning following information about the presence of terrorists. The search operation turned into an encounter after the terrorists fired on the search party, which retaliated. In ensuing gunfight, one terrorist was killed. This comes a week after the security forces gunned down 6 terrorists during a similar encounter in Pulwama. Indian security forces have claimed they have neutralized more than 240 terrorists this year. India accuses neighboring Pakistan of arming and infiltrating terrorists across the border to mount attacks on Indian soil. Pakistan denies the accusation.
The lower house of Indian Parliament on Thursday passed the bill which criminalizes the age-old practice of triple talaq or instant Muslim divorce. 245 lawmakers voted in favor and 11 opposed the legislation.
The lower house of Indian Parliament on Thursday passed the bill which criminalized the age-old practice of triple talaq or instant Muslim divorce. The Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Marriage Bill 2018 was passed by the lower house with 245 voting in favour and 11 opposing the legislation. The government rejected the contention that the bill was aimed at targeting a particular community.
देश के दुनिया के 20 से अधिक इस्लामिक मुल्कों में भी 3 तलाक को नियंत्रित किया गया है और भारत तो सेकुलर मुल्क है तो फिर यहाँ पर आपत्ति क्यों होती है?
India's Supreme Court in August last year had outlawed the practice that allowed Muslim men to divorce their wives by simply saying the word talaq or divorce in Arabic 3 times. Muslims constitute just 14% of India's population of 1.3 billion, which is 80% Hindu, the latest census data shows.
Bhutan's Prime Minister Lotay Tshering met his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Friday and discussed issues including defence, space exploration and economic ties. After the talks, India announced assistance of $643 million to Bhutan for its 12th five-year plan.
Bhutan's Prime Minister Lotay Tshering met his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Friday to boost bilateral ties between the two countries. During the delegation-level talks, both the leaders discussed issues related to the field of defence, strategic cooperation, space exploration, hydroelectric power and economic assistance. After the talks, Prime Minister Modi announced India's pledge to provide nearly $643 million towards support for the 12th five-year plan of Bhutan.
मैंने प्रधानमंत्री जी को आश्वस्त किया है कि भूटान के विकास में भारत हमेशा की तरह एक भरोसेमंद मित्र और साझेदार की भूमिका निभाएगा। भूटान की 12वीं पंचवर्षीय योजना में भारत 4,500 करोड़ रुपए का योगदान देगा। यह योगदान भूटान की आवश्यकताओं और प्राथमिकताओं के अनुरूप होगा।
Earlier in the day, the visiting Prime Minister was accorded a ceremonial guard of honor at the Presidential Palace in Indian capital New Delhi. Diplomatic relations between India and Bhutan were established in 1968 and have been sustained by regular high-level visits and dialogue between the two nations. India is also Bhutan's largest trading partner.
In news from Pakistan, Pakistan's Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa on Thursday met top US Commander Scott Miller and discussed the regional security and the ongoing Afghan peace process. Both the leaders underlined the importance of political resolution and said that only an Afghan-led inclusive process can lead to peace in the country.
Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa on Thursday met top US Commander General Scott Miller in Pakistan's Rawalpindi city and discussed the regional security and ongoing reconciliation process in neighboring Afghanistan. A statement by Pakistan Army's media wing ISPR said that General Bajwa reiterated Pakistan's commitment to efforts for peace in Afghanistan, and both the military leaders agreed on the importance of a political solution to the Afghan conflict. Miller assumed command of NATO forces in Afghanistan in September, arriving as Washington faces growing questions over its strategy to force the Taliban into talks to end the 17-year-long Afghan conflict. Washington has long been pushing Islamabad to lean on Taliban leaders, who it says are based in Pakistan, to bring them to the negotiating table. It often accuses the South Asian nation of covertly sheltering Taliban leaders, an accusation Islamabad vehemently denies.
In news from Afghanistan, some mainstream political parties and election observers have blamed Afghanistan's Independent Election Commission for vote irregularities in the October 20th parliamentary elections. The parties on Thursday said the poll body leadership should be introduced to legal and judicial organs and should step down from their posts.
Mainstream political parties and election observers in Afghanistan on Thursday blamed Independent Election Commission or IEC for vote irregularities in the October 20th parliamentary elections. They said the poll body had not taken any steps to bring about systematic reforms in the election process, adding that the commission leadership has pushed the election process towards a deadlock. The IEC leadership should be introduced to legal and judicial organs, they said.
انتخابات ریاست جمهوری ما طرفدار استفاده کامل از تکنولوژی هستیم، هم در ثبت نام و هم در انتخابات. اینها معیارهاست، این یک انتخابات معیاری داشته باشه.
چرا انتخابات افغانستان به اون بحث مواجه شد؟ یک نکته دوم، وقتی که اینا برکنار میشه باید اصلاحات دیگه هم در کمیسیون به وجود بیاید. ما اول تاکید میکنیم کسانی در کمیسیون بیاید که هیچ حکومت سر از وان نفوذ نداره.
Meanwhile, officials from the Independent Electoral Complaints Commission said despite suspending at least 5 IEC officials over poor leadership, the IEC so far has not implemented the verdict. This comes a day after the poll body confirmed there could be a delay in the upcoming presidential elections due to certain reasons. The upcoming presidential elections are scheduled for April 20th next year.
More on news from Afghanistan. Former Taliban leaders in Afghanistan have urged direct talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban as they believe it is needed for purposeful peace negotiations. They said if the Taliban representatives continue to deny direct peace negotiation talks with the government, the upcoming talks in Jeddah would not bring positive results.
A number of ex-Taliban leaders on Thursday said that if the Taliban representatives continue to deny direct peace negotiation talks with the Afghan government, the upcoming peace talks in Jeddah would not bring positive results. They added, consensus on the withdrawal of the US forces from Afghanistan is needed to broker purposeful peace talks. Although the Taliban a few weeks ago refused to talk with the Afghan government's peace delegation in Abu Dhabi, the government earlier this week said Kabul was still keen to send a peace delegation as US and Taliban representatives prepare to attend the fourth round of peace talks in Jeddah.
توافق قرار نشي زه فکر نه کوم دا چې به وی لکه د اماراتو مجلس چې هغه به د ناکامۍ سره مخ کیږي هغه به ناکام.
So far, representatives of US, Russia, Qatar, UAE and Pakistan have held a series of talks with the Taliban, but Kabul has been pushing for its regional and international allies to convince the Taliban to engage in direct talks with it.
The holy city of Prayagraj in India's northern Uttar Pradesh province is gearing up to welcome devotees and tourists to the Kumbh Fair with latest additions of cruise rides and a cultural museum. The authorities are erecting temporary bridges, building mass kitchens, thousands of portable toilets and vast tents to host millions of people in the fair from January 15.
The holy city of Prayagraj in India's northern Uttar Pradesh province is gearing up to welcome millions of devotees and tourists to the largest religious gathering in the world, the Kumbh Fair, with latest addition of cruise rides on the holy rivers. The cruise boats, having a capacity of ferrying more than 200 passengers, had a trial run in the river waters on Wednesday. Devotees would also be able to hire small ferry boats to reach the middle of the confluence of three sacred rivers, Ganges, Yamuna and Saraswati, to take holy dip into the confluence also known as Triveni Sangam.
और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि नैनी ब्रिज से जहां अभी हम लोग मौजूद हैं, यहां से किला घाट वो 20 से 25 मिनट में पहुंच जाएगा और लोग इसमें इत्मीनान से बैठे हुए चले जाएंगे, अपना चाय पानी पीते हुए, और किला घाट पर उतर के घाट पर जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. वहीं पर छोटे नाव, जैसा कि जिला प्रशासन के साथ समन्वय बैठक में बात हुई है कि 20-25 छोटे नाव खड़े होंगे, उसमें लोग बैठ जाएंगे बारी बारी से और जाके संगम में स्नान करके तुरंत वापस आएंगे. ये जहाज़ खड़ा रहेगा और जैसे ही वो लोग वापस बैठेंगे, जहाज़ वापस उनको लेके जहाँ जिन घाटों पर उनको जाना है उतार देगा.
A cultural museum is also being built at the fair site, depicting the traditions and cultures of India right from Indus Valley civilization till the country got independence. The Kumbh Fair, which is more than 2000 years old, is a meeting point for Hindu ascetics, some of whom live in forest or Himalayan caves. The fair, which will begin on January 15th, is traditionally held every 3 years in one of 4 cities of Prayagraj, Haridwar, Ujjain and Nasik along India's sacred rivers.
Hundreds of people thronged a famous ice skating rink in India's hill town of Shimla to witness various events on its annual Carnival Day on Thursday. Participants had a delightful time skating with torchlights over a sheet of snow, which is a tradition at the rink.
Scores of people thronged a famous ice skating rink in India's northern hill town of Shimla to witness skating with torchlights on its Carnival Day on Thursday night. Over 5 trained skaters displayed the skating in the rink by holding torches in their hands, which is an annual event. Hundreds of participants who also showcased the mesmerizing skating skills had delightful time skating with torchlights under the moon and over a sheet of snow.
This is an annual event we do. This is just basically a display of all the events which we practice on ice and which we do. But this is not a competitive event.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. In fact, we were not about to come, but then a few friends of mine, I'm staying at Thira. It's a nearby hostel. And we had come here because they suggested that this annual carnival is very devastating and it happens once a year.
The open rink in Shimla is one of the 3 natural ice skating rinks in the world set up in 1920. The rink was the brainchild of an Irish military official, Blessington, who lived in the town during the British rule. Every year, an ice skating tournament is organized to popularize the sport at the rink, especially among youth.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on southasianewsline.com. You can also visit us on facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.